Hey everybody, how you doing? It's your boy Silas Do Good, and you're on Black Wall Street Bull, Black Owned and Operated. So today we're going to talk about niggas, okay? Whether you're a house nigga, a field nigga, you still a nigga, okay? So the reason why we're talking about this today is because I receive feedback, and I appreciate all the feedback I can get, and I encourage you to continue to do so. And you can drop your ideas about what you want me to talk about. I would appreciate that too in the comment section. Whatever you'd like to do, we're here to have a conversation, okay? So I really appreciate every bit of support and every comment, whether it's critical or uplifting, okay? So I will receive some, comments about disparaging remarks I made about Candace Owens, calling her Aunt Jemima and Uncle Tom, or what have you. Not that they disagreed with that, but they said it was important for me to explain why I called her that, okay? And so we're going to talk about niggas, all right? So it doesn't have anything to do with being a Republican or being a Democrat. Really, at the end of the day, it doesn't. Because both of these parties have taken advantage and have waged a war against the Black American, African American, Negro American nigger in this nation. All right, our families, the black man, are affected. Okay, and I'm going to prove that to you. A lot of people say there's no such thing as institutionalized racism or systemic racism. So let's look into what that actually is. So I'm going to give you an example, several examples that prove institutionalized and systemic racism. So let's start at and that both parties engaged in this tomfoolery, okay, that affects our community and keeps us at each other's throats. Okay, so let's go back to when Lincoln, good old Abe, freed us and the 13th Amendment came. So when the Negroes were freed, all right, we didn't have no jobs. We didn't have nothing to do, no more plantation, thank God. But what were we doing? So to keep us from enjoying the new freedoms that we got under the Constitution that the Constitution guaranteed us, they came up with black code laws. They came up with Jim Crow laws. So a black code law in New York was, where I'm from, there was one called the Three Brother Rule. And that meant that if you, three brothers or three black Negroes were hanging around together in public, that was breaking the law. And that was called the Three Brother Rule. All right. Jim Crow laws also put into place. These laws were specifically designed against former slaves, black people. That is the very definition of systemic and institutionalized racism. Okay, that exists. That's not made up. That's not some liberal narrative that people came up with. That existed. Okay, now, just to be clear, all right, my Republican friends will tell you, or tell me, hey, the Democrats came up with that. They came up with with Jim Crow, with black code laws. They came up with all of that, and the Republicans set you free. So when they tell you that, that's true. That is true. The Democrats who were in power came up with that, supported the KKK. They did all of that. Okay, so the Democrats are guilty, absolutely. But like I said, it's the same bird, two different wings. Now, something else that Candace Owens said was that aside from there's no such thing as systemic or institutionalized racism, is that after LBJ administration started incentivizing black people to be lazy and on welfare, and and this contributed to single parent households, the absence of the black male in a household, the absence of education in our communities, because we can't be literate, we have illiteracy problems, high literacy rates, high black fathers missing from our households, high pregnancy rates, okay? And she attributes that to legislation from Democrats and us being fed on the Democratic tit or from on the plantation. And I couldn't disagree more, okay? Because that even though those laws are in effect, even though the Democrats do offer welfare and stuff like that, that is a myth. That is a myth, okay? Let me tell you what really happened. In the 1980s, the U.S. government, via the CIA, dropped crack cocaine off in black neighborhoods, okay? This isn't an opinion. This is facts, okay? Everything I'm about to tell you, you can look right on up, all right? So the CIA flooded black ghettos with crack cocaine. Now, they didn't flood any other neighborhood. You didn't see in Twin Falls, Idaho, or any other white neighborhood, white areas, them dropping crack cocaine off in. They didn't. They dropped it right off of there. That's our government feeding us a pervasive and a corrupt and very addictive drug that destroyed the black family, okay? Because the black male who didn't have any job opportunities, didn't have any jobs out there, okay? They either had to sell it or smoke it. So selling it gets you put in jail, smoking it gets you put in jail, okay? So the prison systems during the 90s swelled because of disproportional laws against blacks. And let me tell you one of those laws here, okay? When they had mandatory sentencing guidelines against for drug offenses. So these drug offenses that they had, if you got caught with cocaine, which is something that the white community uses a lot, all right? If you got caught with an ounce of cocaine, that is 3 months in jail, slap on the wrist. But if you got an ounce of crack cocaine, that's 3 years of your life. And then, again, mandatory sentencing, is 3, 10, 15, life, whatever it is. You were disproportionately sent to jail. And our prison population swelled disproportionately with African American men. We were black then, okay? Just to be clear, now we're disproportionately jailed. That's from an institution, from a drug that wasn't of our own making, okay? And now, when the prisons became swelled, what did the government do? They privatized the prisons to make money off of the enslavement of black people. And I say enslavement because guess what is legal in jail when you're there? Slavery, because of the 13th Amendment. Okay, so we went from the 13th Amendment getting freed all the way here to slavery again via the 13th Amendment. Okay, and that is institutionalized and systemic racism. That is facts. This isn't made up. I didn't make it up. You can easily look this up for yourself. Do the research, okay? So when someone says to you, oh, this is a made-up thing from, the liberal media, and you're a drone or a bot and you've no idea, you're just listening to people talk. No, this is real. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So to say something like that is not only ignorant, it's dangerous because you're purposely leading people down a one-way street with a brick wall at the end of it. Just to be clear, in the 90s, there were more black men in jail than there were registered to go to college. And that is a direct result of the U.S. government, our government, having a war against the black man and his family. Okay? So, to me, another direct result of having single-father households, having high illiteracy rates, having gang activities in our communities, okay? This was put to us over years since Abe freed us. So we went from the frying pan right into the fire and don't even know it. So to hear people say, again, that there's no such thing and that the Democrats are responsible for this is ridiculous, okay? The government is. The government is, okay? And we need to do something about it by having a conversation about addressing the issues. And we can't have Uncle Tom's, Uncle Thomasina's, Aunt Jemima's telling us any different. We can't. We cannot afford to do that, okay? They're ignorant, willfully ignorant. Don't become part of that trap, okay? And then I heard a very interesting thing that they said that, don't crucify the messenger if the message is correct. Yes, Candace Owens gives out stats that are absolutely true about illiteracy rate, high pregnancy rates, the absentee fathers, okay? Yes, that message is absolutely true, but the messenger is not using that message to help out the black community. She is using that message, or Clarence Thomas is using that message, or Tim Scott is using that message to put down black people so they can be part of a community or part of a government that is attacking us on a daily basis through systemic and institutionalized racism. That is a fact, and you need to look into that. And we need to have a conversation on that. So if you're interested in doing that, leave a comment, subscribe, tell me I'm wrong.